March 14th, 1969. Two American Cobra gunships dropped to treetop level and did what everyone said was impossible. They destroyed 17 heavily fortified NVA bunkers in just 22 minutes. Bunkers that had withstood weeks of artillery and ground assaults. But here's what the mission reports won't tell you. Why did these pilots have to fly so low they could see the enemy's faces? And what made this insane tactic work when conventional warfare doctrine said it would get them killed? Tay Ninh Province, Firebase, Illingworth operational area. The heat hits you first. 35 degrees Celsius, 90% humidity, air so thick you can almost chew it. Every breath feels like work. The jungle stretches in every direction, a living wall of green that swallows sound and light. Bamboo groves crack and snap with movement you can't see. The smell of rotting plants mixes with red clay dirt. At night, the cicadas make so much noise you can't hear anything else. Not footsteps, not whispered orders, not the click of a rifle safety coming off. This is where America's Cobra gunships are about to prove something impossible. 8 kilometers northeast of the fire base, 17 bunkers wait in the jungle. These aren't simple holes in the ground. They're fortified positions built by the 272nd VC Regiment, reinforced with logs and earth packed 2 meters thick. The bunkers connect through trenches. They have overlapping fields of fire. They've been built to survive. And survive, they have. For 6 weeks, elements of the 1st Cavalry Division have tried to destroy them. Ground operations have cost 23 American soldiers killed and 67 wounded. 0 bunkers destroyed. Artillery hasn't worked. The shells either blow up in the trees 40 meters above the ground or crater the earth around the bunkers without touching them. The bunkers are too strong, too deep, too well built. Inside the operations tent at Firebase Illingworth, Captain Robert Snake Daniels studies reconnaissance photos. The bunkers appear as dark smudges beneath the jungle canopy. You can barely see them, even when you know where to look. Behind him, Warrant Officer First Class James McKinley traces patrol routes on clear plastic overlay. Both men know the standard approach. Attack helicopters provide covering fire. Fast movers drop bombs, ground forces move in, combined arms, standard doctrine. But standard hasn't worked. The VC learned to build deep. They use materials that absorb impact instead of shattering. They create kill zones in jungle clearings. American doctrine assumes 2 things: mobility and firepower superiority. The bunkers take away both advantages. The jungle here feels like it's alive. The weight of the air itself seems tactical. Temperature never drops below 30 degrees. The humidity makes your uniform stick to your skin. Equipment feels twice as heavy. The smell of vegetation rotting in the heat never goes away. When you move through the jungle, every step makes noise, leaves crunch, branches snap, the ground squelches under your boots. Visibility drops to meters. You can't see what's 20 feet ahead. The canopy blocks out the sky. In some places, the jungle is so thick that noon looks like twilight. The VC use this. They know every trail, every clearing, every approach route. They've been here for months, maybe years. They move silently. They see Americans coming from hundreds of meters away. They hear helicopters long before they arrive. And they wait in their bunkers, protected by earth and timber, watching. An NVA intelligence officer wrote in his journal, later found by American forces, "The Americans come with great noise and fury. We wait in earth and darkness. Their helicopters cannot see us. Their artillery cannot touch us. We emerge when they are gone and build again." The confidence is clear. The bunkers work. The Americans can't touch them. But something is changing. Firebase Illingworth has been probed twice in the past week. Reconnaissance by fire. The VC are testing response times. They're mapping artillery coverage. They're learning patterns. The bunker network isn't just defensive. It's a staging area. The VC are preparing for something bigger. The trigger comes at 4:30 in the morning on March 14th. A long-range reconnaissance patrol sees 60 to 80 VC moving supplies into the bunker complex under cover of darkness. Radio intercepts confirm it. Something is building. The decision is made quickly. The bunkers have to die today. If they don't, Firebase Illingworth will face a coordinated assault within 72 hours. Captain Daniels has been thinking about this problem for 3 weeks. Everyone says you can't destroy bunkers with helicopters. Helicopters don't have enough firepower. They can't penetrate fortified positions. That's what artillery does. That's what bombers do, not helicopters with rockets. But Daniels sees it differently. The problem isn't the weapon. The problem is how it's being used. Standard doctrine says helicopters fire from 800 meters away at safe altitude. You maintain distance. You minimize exposure. You don't get close to enemy positions. What if you got close? What if you flew so low you could see individual soldiers? What if you fired rockets at point-blank range, hitting the same spot over and over until the bunker broke? It's insane by every measure of helicopter doctrine. Low and slow in a hot zone means maximum exposure to ground fire. The VC have heavy machine guns throughout the complex. One good burst from a 12.7mm anti-aircraft gun will tear a Cobra apart. The standard attack profile is 1,500 feet altitude, dive to 800, fire, break away. What Daniels wants to do is fly at 50 to 100 feet. That's a knife fight at arm's reach. Captain Daniels lifts the red phone. His voice is calm, but firm. Get me 2 Cobras, full rocket pods, and whoever's the best gunner in. The company. We're going in low, and we're going in angry. Outside, the jungle waits. The bunkers wait. The VC wait in their fortified positions, confident that helicopters can't hurt them. They've survived worse. They've outlasted artillery barrages and ground assaults. They don't know what's coming. The assumptions are about to die with the bunkers. The AH-1G Cobra wasn't built for bunker busting. It was designed for troop suppression, convoy escort, reconnaissance by fire. The helicopter carries 7-tube rocket pods loaded with 2.75-inch high explosive warheads. It has a turret-mounted minigun. It has speed and agility. But it doesn't have bunker penetration. That's what artillery does. That's what fast movers with 500-pound bombs do, not helicopters. But Captain Daniels has been studying this problem for 3 weeks straight. Conventional wisdom says you can't crack a fortified bunker with rockets. Not enough mass, not enough penetration. But conventional wisdom assumes you're firing from 800 meters at safe altitude. Conventional wisdom assumes standoff engagement. Conventional wisdom says keep your distance. Daniels is proposing something completely different. Low-level attack runs, 50 to 100 feet above the canopy, firing at near point-blank range, 150 to 200 meters from target. Multiple rockets into the same impact point, sequential strikes to crater the earth and expose the bunker structure, then follow-up rockets to penetrate the weakened positions. It's the difference between throwing rocks at a wall and using a jackhammer. You concentrate force on a single point until something breaks. The concept is insane by every measure of helicopter doctrine. Low and slow in a hot zone means maximum exposure to ground fire. The VC have 12.7mm anti-aircraft positions throughout the complex. One solid burst from a DSHK heavy machine gun will tear a Cobra apart like tissue paper. The standard attack profile is clear. Start at 1,500 feet, dive to 800, fire your rockets, break away fast. What Daniels is proposing is flying into the enemy's face. It's a knife fight when you should be sniping from a distance. His wingman, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Eddie Pierce, calls it flying into the gun barrel. During the planning session, Pierce asks the obvious question. What's our way out if we take hits that low? We won't have altitude to work with. We won't have speed built up. What do we do? Daniels doesn't have a good answer. Not really. Fly faster and pray the Hueys are ready for extract, is all he can offer. It's not much of a plan, but it's the only plan that might work. The training takes 2 days. They practice on a simulated bunker complex near the fire base. Sandbags and logs arranged to match the intelligence photos. They experiment with angles of attack, 15 degrees, 20 degrees, direct horizontal. They time the reload cycle. How fast? Can a pilot acquire the next target after firing a full pod? They measure crater patterns. How many rockets does it take to achieve penetration depth? 3 rockets? 5? 7? The door gunner on Daniels' Cobra is Specialist 4 Marcus Wright. Later, he'll say, "We were basically learning how to turn a gunship into a precision strike aircraft without any of the equipment or doctrine for precision strikes. It felt like trying to perform surgery with a chainsaw. What they're attempting violates every principle of helicopter survivability. Rule 1, maintain altitude. Rule 2, maintain speed. Rule 3, minimize exposure time. They're breaking all three rules at once. This is aggression replacing caution, calculated violence replacing measured firepower. The Cobra's main advantage is speed and maneuverability. They're sacrificing both for accuracy and concentrated fire. The measurements are specific. A normal patrol moves 4 to 6 kilometers per day. Daniel's Cobras will cover 8 kilometers in minutes, then spend 20 minutes in the target area. A normal Cobra fires from 800 meters. They'll fire from 150 to 200 meters. A normal engagement lasts 2 to 3 minutes before breaking contact. They're planning to stay in the fight until every rocket is gone or they're shot down, whichever comes first. During practice runs, they learn the rhythm. First Cobra fires. Second Cobra maneuvers into position. First Cobra breaks away, while second Cobra fires, back and forth. A deadly dance. Never both helicopters in the same place. Always one aircraft moving, one aircraft shooting. If one gets hit, the other covers the extraction. The enemy perspective comes from captured documents dated March 10th. American helicopters attack from high altitude. Our bunkers are invisible beneath trees. Our anti-aircraft positions force them higher. They cannot hurt us. The NVA don't see Cobras as a bunker threat. They're watching for B-52 strikes. They're watching for arc light missions. They're watching for bomber formations that can crater their fortifications with 2,000-pound bombs. Helicopters are harassment. Helicopters are noise. Helicopters aren't annihilation. The VC have grown confident. They've survived weeks of American attacks. Ground forces couldn't break through. Artillery bounced off. The jungle protects them. The earth protects them. Their bunkers are fortresses. They believe helicopters are just flying targets, something to shoot at, something to practice anti-aircraft gunnery on. They're not afraid of Cobras. On March 13th, Daniels and Pierce execute a reconnaissance pass over the target area at standard altitude. Ground fire erupts immediately, green tracers rising like angry fireflies, the distinctive thump-thump-thump of heavy machine guns. 51 caliber, 12.7 millimeter, big guns, guns that can kill helicopters. But the VC fire is confident, almost casual. They're not panicking, they're not worried. They've seen helicopters before. The helicopters always stay high. The helicopters always break away. The helicopters never hurt the bunkers. This is just another day. Another American helicopter flying overhead. Another target. The VC gunners don't know what's coming. They don't know that tomorrow the rules are changing. They don't know that 2 Cobra pilots have spent 3 weeks planning something no one has tried before. They don't know that American doctrine is about to be thrown out the window in favor of something desperate and violent and potentially suicidal. That confidence is about to cost them everything. The NVA have built 17 bunkers over months of labor. They've reinforced them with timber and earth. They've positioned anti-aircraft guns. They've created a fortress in the jungle. And in less than 24 hours, 2 helicopters are going to reduce it all to smoking craters. The jungle is quiet that night. The cicadas sing. The air is heavy with moisture. Somewhere in the bunker complex, VC soldiers sleep in shifts, confident in their fortifications. Somewhere on Firebase Illingworth, Captain Daniels checks his rockets one more time. He runs through the attack plan in his head. Low, fast, violent, concentrated fire. Hit them before they know what's happening. Tomorrow, the bunkers die. Tomorrow, helicopter doctrine changes. Tomorrow, the impossible becomes real. 6:45 in the morning, March 14th, 1969. The 2 Cobras cross into the operational area at 1,200 feet, standard profile, nothing unusual. Below them, the jungle stretches like a green ocean. Artillery begins firing 500 meters east of the target area. A deception. Draw the enemy's attention away. Make them look the wrong direction. At 6:48, both aircraft drop like stones. They're descending through the canopy layer in a barely controlled dive. The altimeter unwinds. 1,000 feet. 800, 500, 300. The jungle rushes up to meet them. At 100 feet, everything changes. The jungle becomes a blur of green. Individual trees are visible now. The rough bark of teak. The pale trunks of bamboo. Captain Daniels can see a water buffalo in a clearing below. He can see footpaths cutting through the undergrowth. This is closer than any Cobra has operated in hostile territory. This is the knife fight. The first bunker complex appears at 6:51. Daniel's targeting reticle settles on the dark opening of a bunker entrance. Logs and earth. A firing slit barely 2 feet wide. Range, 180 meters and closing. His thumb hovers over the firing button. Guns, 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 Daniels calls over the radio. The Cobra shudders as the first salvo launches. 7 rockets streak across the gap in less than 2 seconds. White smoke trails. The scream of rocket motors. The first 3 rockets impact in a tight grouping 5 meters short. They crater the earth, in geysers of red clay and shredded vegetation. The shock wave ripples through the jungle like a physical thing. Trees bend, leaves explode into the air. The next 4 rockets hit closer. 2 direct impacts on the bunker face. 2 just over the top. The sound is catastrophic. Not the distant rumble of artillery, but the immediate, teeth-rattling crack boom of high-explosive detonation at close range. You feel it in your chest, in your bones. Secondary explosions follow. Ammunition cooking off inside the bunker. Timber supports splintering. Earth collapsing inward like a sinkhole forming in fast motion. Pierce's Cobra follows 3 seconds behind, firing into the dust and smoke. His rockets punch through the weakened structure. The bunker doesn't explode dramatically like in the movies. It implodes. The roof caves in with a grinding roar audible over the turbine whine. Dirt and timber and sandbags collapse into the hole where soldiers were positioned moments before. Bunker 1 destroyed. Time elapsed, 18 seconds. But now the NVA are reacting. Muzzle flashes erupt from concealed positions throughout the jungle. AK-47s on full automatic. The deeper bark of RPD light machine guns. And then the heavy thud-thud-thud of 12.7 millimeter anti-aircraft fire. Big guns, guns meant to kill aircraft. Green tracers crisscross the air. Some pass so close that Wright, the door gunner, can feel the displacement. Hot wind from rounds passing within meters. The smell of cordite, the crack of bullets breaking the sound barrier. Daniels banks hard left, skimming the canopy, jinking right, then left in random patterns. The Cobra's turbine screams at maximum power. An RPG streaks past the cockpit, a gray blur trailing white smoke, missing by 3 meters, maybe less. The warhead detonates in the trees behind them. The explosion showers the aircraft with bark and leaves and shrapnel. Something pings off the tail boom. Metal on metal. They're committed now. No altitude to escape to. No standoff distance. They're inside the enemy's engagement envelope. The only way out is through. Through the fire. Through the tracers. Through 17 bunkers that need to die. Target 2, 11 o'clock, 200 meters. Pierce calls over the radio. His voice is steady, despite everything. Both Cobras wheel toward the next bunker. This one is larger. A command post or ammunition storage, reinforced with what looks like steel plating scavenged from something. Maybe a destroyed vehicle, maybe a downed aircraft. Daniels fires a full pod, 14 rockets in rapid sequence. The Cobra rocks with each launch. The bunker vanishes behind a curtain of explosions, smoke and fire and debris. When the smoke clears 3 seconds later, the structure is gutted, the roof blown off, flames licking from the interior. Another secondary explosion sends a fireball 50 feet into the air. The radio crackles with static and voices. Viper lead, this is Firebase Illingworth Fire. Direction, we have reports of secondary explosions. Confirm target destruction. Affirmative Illingworth. Bunkers 1 and 2 are gone, moving to target 3. Daniel's voice is calm, professional, like he's reporting the weather. The next 12 minutes are a continuous blur of violence. The Cobras work in tandem. One fires while the other maneuvers. A deadly leapfrog through the target area, back and forth, never stopping, never giving the enemy time to react properly. They're taking hits now. Small arms fire punching holes through the tail boom of Daniel's aircraft. A round shatters the canopy inches from Pierce's head. Glass fragments everywhere, but they're not breaking off. Not yet. Not until the job is done. Bunker 3 collapses after 8 rockets. The structure folds in on itself like cardboard. Bunker 4 takes 6 rockets. Clean hits, direct impacts. The bunker ceases to exist. Bunker 5 is partially concealed beneath a false floor of vegetation. Camouflage netting and leaves. Both aircraft fire simultaneously. 28 rockets converging on a single point. The earth erupts like a volcano, hurling timber and bodies 50 feet into the air. The shock wave is visible, a ripple in the air itself. At 6:59, a 12.7mm round tears through Pierce's hydraulics. Red fluid sprays from the damaged lines. The Cobra shudders violently, yawing left, but stays airborne. Pierce fights the controls. "I'm hit, but I'm good," he calls over the radio. "Staying in the fight." By 7:03, they've destroyed 9 bunkers. The NVA are in chaos. Soldiers abandoning positions, running for the tree line. Some try to man anti-aircraft guns. Wright's minigun cuts them down. The weapon screams at 4,000 rounds per minute. The sound is like ripping cloth amplified 1,000 times. Brass casings cascade from the Cobra like metallic rain. They bounce off the skids. They glitter in the morning sun. Bunkers 10 through 17 fall in rapid succession. Some are direct hits, total destruction, structures obliterated. Others are mission kills, collapsed entrances, caved roofs, positions rendered unusable. The Cobras are nearly out of rockets now. Both engines are overheating from sustained low-altitude flight. Both aircraft are bleeding hydraulic fluid and fuel. Both have multiple bullet holes, but they keep firing, keep attacking, keep destroying. At 7:07, Daniels fires his last rockets into Bunker 17. The structure erupts in a massive secondary explosion. Ammunition stores igniting, or fuel, or both. A fireball mushrooms 200 feet into the air, orange and black. The shock wave rocks both helicopters. Daniels feels the Cobra drop 10 feet before he regains control. "Winchester, Winchester," Daniels calls, military code for out of ammunition. Breaking contact, heading home. The 2 Cobras climb for altitude. Engines straining, shot full of holes but still flying. Both pilots coax their damaged aircraft higher. 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet. Safety. Behind them, the jungle is ablaze. 17 bunker positions reduced to smoking craters. The 272nd VC Regiment staging area no longer exists. Ground forces moving in afterward count 47 enemy killed in and around the destroyed bunkers. Blood trails indicate many more wounded evacuated during the chaos. Captured documents recovered from Bunker 11 include a half-written letter. The handwriting is shaky. The helicopters came from nowhere, flying like demons, and nothing could stop them. The mission report lands on desks throughout MACV headquarters within 48 hours. 17 bunkers destroyed in 22 minutes by 2 helicopters. 0 American casualties. The numbers are almost impossible to believe. Ammunition expenditure, 196 2.75-inch rockets, approximately 8,000 rounds of 7.62mm minigun fire. Cost-benefit analysis, roughly $40,000 in ordnance versus an estimated $200,000 in enemy fortifications destroyed and 3 months of construction labor negated. By any measure, it's a stunning success. Within a week, Captain Daniels is briefing attack helicopter units across the 3rd Corps area. Pilots crowd into operations tents to hear how it was done, how you fly that low, how you survive the ground fire, how you concentrate fire on hardened targets. The bunker-busting technique spreads like wildfire. 1st Aviation Brigade issues a tactical bulletin. The 334th Assault Helicopter Company becomes the go-to unit for hardened target engagement. Cobra pilots across Vietnam start training for low-level attack runs, practicing the knife fight tactics that seemed suicidal just days before. But adoption is uneven. Many units refuse to implement the technique. Too dangerous, too far outside doctrine, too dependent on pilot skill and enemy confusion. One operations officer calls it trading long-term survivability for short-term tactical success. He's not entirely wrong. 3 weeks later, a Cobra attempting a similar attack near Binh Duong province is shot down during its attack run. Heavy machine gun fire tears through the cockpit. Both crew members are killed. The helicopter crashes into the jungle and burns. The technique works only when executed perfectly, and perfection in combat is fleeting. It's rare. It depends on timing and luck and enemy mistakes. The NVA adapt quickly. They always do. Within a month, anti-aircraft positions are reinforced around remaining bunker complexes. Overhead, camouflage is thickened. Triple canopy becomes quadruple canopy. Some units abandon fixed fortifications entirely. They return to mobile operations where American firepower superiority means less. The 272nd VC Regiment never rebuilds in Tay Ninh Province. They relocate operations across the Cambodian border, beyond the legal reach of U.S. ground forces, beyond the reach of Cobra Gunships. The jungle swallows them whole. Captain Daniels flies 117 more combat missions before his tour ends in September 1969. He survives the war, returns to the United States, leaves the Army in 1972. In a 1998 interview, he reflects on that March morning. "We proved helicopters could do precision strikes if you were willing to fly low enough to die. But proving something is possible doesn't make it smart. We destroyed those bunkers, but 2 weeks later, the VC were back operating in the same area. Different tactics, same jungle, same war." The statistics tell part of the story. Attack helicopter kill ratios in Vietnam improve after March 1969. Documented cases of Cobras destroying fortified positions increased by 340% over the next year. But casualty rates for helicopter crews also climb by 23%. The trade-off is clear: effectiveness at the cost of survivability. You can kill more enemy, but more of your people die doing it. The mathematics are brutal and simple. The deeper lesson is strategic, not tactical. The bunker complex at Tay Ninh was never the real target. It was a symptom of a larger reality. The VC and NVA could build faster than Americans could destroy. For every fortification reduced to rubble, 2 more appeared in different locations, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. Tactical brilliance, flying into the teeth of enemy fire, destroying 17 bunkers in one morning, couldn't alter the fundamental mathematics of insurgency warfare. You can't bomb an idea. You can't destroy a belief system with rockets. The jungle is patient. The people are patient. They wait. They rebuild. They continue. Chief Warrant Officer Pierce survives his tour, returns home, never flies helicopters again. In his words, "Every time I got in a helicopter after that day, all I could see were those green tracers coming up. All I could hear was that 12.7 millimeter round punching through my hydraulics. I was done. Some things you can only do once." Specialist 4. Marcus Wright, the door gunner, serves 3 more months before taking shrapnel in his leg during another mission. He's evacuated to Japan, then the States. He walks with a limp for the rest of his life. But he's alive. That's what matters. The modern U.S. Army Aviation Branch still teaches elements of Daniels' technique in advanced attack helicopter courses. The concept of aggressive low-altitude engagement appears in doctrine, sanitized and formalized, made safe on paper. AH-64. Apache crews train for urban bunker reduction in Iraq and Afghanistan, using Hellfire missiles instead of rockets. But the principle remains the same: get close, hit hard, accept risk. The ghost of that March morning in Tay Ninh Province lives on in training manuals and after-action reports. The jungle. Near Firebase Illingworth has long since reclaimed the battlefield. 50 years of growth, 50 years of rain and sun and life. Farmers plow fields where bunkers once stood. Occasionally they unearth rocket fragments, rusted machine gun parts, pieces of metal twisted by explosions. They pile them at the edges of fields, reminders of violence that came and went. The firebase itself is gone, overgrown, returned to vegetation. You can still find the outline if you know where to look. Depressions in the earth where bunkers stood, places where nothing grows quite right because the soil is still contaminated with fuel and oil and blood. Local villagers sometimes find pieces of metal embedded in tree trunks, shrapnel from that March morning in 1969. The trees grew around the metal, incorporated it, made it part of themselves. The lesson isn't that American forces lacked courage or innovation. The courage was real. The innovation was real. Captain Daniels and his wingman proved that Cobra Gunships could destroy hardened bunkers. A technical achievement. A tactical victory. Mission accomplished. But the war wasn't won or lost in Tay Ninh Province on March 14, 1969. It was decided in the space between what could be destroyed and what would simply be rebuilt, between the violence that could be inflicted and the will that refused to break. You can destroy 17 bunkers in 22 minutes. You can kill 47 enemy soldiers. You can crater the earth and set the jungle on fire, but you can't destroy patience. You can't kill determination with high explosives. The VC built those bunkers over 3 months. The Cobras destroyed them in 22 minutes. And 2 weeks later, the VC were back in the same area with new tactics and new positions. The jungle is patient. It waits for the helicopters to leave, waits for the smoke to clear, waits for the sound of rotors to fade into memory, and then it grows back, green and thick and eternal. The craters fill with water. The water becomes pools. Plants grow in the pools. Trees grow from the plants. In 5 years, you can't tell there was ever a battle. In 10 years, the jungle looks like it always looked, untouched, eternal, patient. Somewhere in the jungle, a farmer finds a piece of twisted metal. He doesn't know what it is. Doesn't know it's a fragment from a 2.75-inch rocket fired on March 14, 1969. Doesn't know that 2 American pilots risked everything to fire that rocket. He tosses it aside and continues working his field. The jungle watches. The jungle waits. The jungle remembers nothing and everything.